Yes, welcome in one and all. This is the Full 10 Yards at Betting podcast. Hope you're doing well. Hope you've got if you celebrated Thanksgiving on Thursday with turkey or hot dogs or pizza or whatever you did, hopefully you had a good time. I don't think there's any other fans other than Cowboys fans that disliked or disapproved of the the entertainment on Thanksgiving. But yeah, the other two games weren't great, were they? And like I say, if you're a Dallas fan, just a bit of extra salt in the wounds there. But if you listen to us on Thursday, and if you listened to us last week as well, hopefully we've been pointing you in the right direction, Adam, because we had a really good Thanksgiving, to be quite honest.
We have been doing well, haven't we? Yeah, we've obviously Dawson Knox and your I was going to say self-proclaimed, but obviously it was my bet, but you just adjudged it as the best bet ever.
Oh yeah, it's the best bet ever. Yeah, by half time.
Tony Pollard receiving yards flew in the first half. It wasn't long after the first quarter, I don't think, and then Dawson Knox at 3-1. He was 9-4 early in the day and then bumped up for some reason, which I never really understood. But obviously he scored 2. I think we had someone, Jack, wasn't it? I think had 20-1 on him getting 2 or more. So, yeah, not a bad night after overall.
Yeah, that's not the reason why he's not on tonight. He's not out celebrating, get on the piss, but might be. I don't know actually. Yeah, and obviously, if you listened last week, I tipped up Sean McKeon of the second the second string tight end of 14-1. He duly obliged on Saturday and on Thursday. And did I have any money in it? No, I bloody didn't. But Adam, I do suppose with that selection though, I do get to join your second string tight end club.
Oh yeah. Yeah, which always worth looking at the second string tight end. Yeah, just look at the odds. Like I had someone post, Furness, Andy Furness, I think it is, posted on my Twitter saying he put on Dalton Schultz, Dawson Knox, and Jimmy Graham, 50-1 for the treble, and obviously all tight ends, all the ones that we mentioned.
Yeah,
so yeah, we're always worth looking at the tight ends. They're always good odds.
Yeah, absolutely. That's always the way to do it. Shout out to Liam Horsley, who seemed to be pumped for us going on there. So if you're watching, Liam, hello to you. Yeah, no, it was a good day. I didn't understand the Dawson Knox, but yeah, pretty much 3 out of 4 again for me. Just again got done by a point by the handicap for the second week running. So we'll try and put that right. But yeah, like I say, yeah, on a bit of a roll at the moment, especially yours truly. But we shall see how that goes for the rest of week 12. Right, okay then. You might see me looking over to this way. It's because my Mac's playing up and I'm having to do 2 computers to do one bloody job. But there we go. Week 12 then, Adam. Let's get through the rest of these games. If I can put in, give us your best handicap for week 12 Sunday.
There's a lot of low spreads this week. There's only one that was 7 points. The Patriots is now ticked up to over 7 points. Well, probably even more now with the AJ Brown news today that he's going on IR. I know, obviously, you've posted on Twitter about the Colts. They were 9-1. I don't know what price they are now for the AFC South. They are 3 games behind because they've lost their head-to-head. So it is 9-1 for a reason, but you can't really argue with a little stab at those odds. The Colts obviously they've got a tough test this weekend, so it's not going to be.
Yeah, they're likely going to be the. I was thinking when I was weighing up putting the bet on, I was thinking, it's 9-1 now, but like if you think, obviously, if the Titans might lose to New England, but say they've got the Bucks and they're going to be losing. They obviously probably lose to the Bucks. And it's like, well, there's still going to be 3 games after the Sunday, but I don't really see the price getting any longer because it's going to be the same. No. I know you've got a game less, but again, people are going to back it, which will bring the liability up, and the bookies don't necessarily do it on chance; they'll do it on liability. So, I thought it's not going to. I don't think it would be too much bigger. And if worst case scenario the Titans win, then fair enough. But and the Colts lose, but yeah, worth a stab at 9s.
Yeah, there's 9-1 on Red Zone. Short odds everywhere else. You annoyingly can't double them on Red Zone, but if you're just after a single, then obviously you can't really moan at those odds. I actually just took a little random punt and put the Eagles, Chiefs, and Rams in there, and came out to like 280-1 or something on Sky Bet, just because I think they all have an outside chance. So for a free $5 on Sky Bet, I thought I'll just chuck that on. But yeah, anyway, this week I've gone for one of the worst teams in the league to cover a spread, which seems weird. Texans -2.5 against the Jets. The Jets have got Zach Wilson back, and that has proved to be pretty terrible for them so far this year. The Texans obviously are looking a little bit better. They probably shouldn't have won last week. They were massively outgained. It was a ton of turnovers. But Tyrod Taylor is obviously a fairly mobile quarterback despite his age, and he ran in for a couple of scores. They jettisoned Philip Lindsay during the week, so it seems like they're going to go with more sexy Rexy in the passing game for the running backs. The running backs have scored tons of touchdowns against the Jets this year. I don't think David Johnson's going to. So I guess Rex Burkhead and I guess Tyrod is essentially a running back when he does things like that. So I think they both should have decent games. Texans defense actually hasn't been terrible. This is more purely a fade of the Jets and me thinking that they're terrible with Zach Wilson. It's a pretty awful reason for taking someone on a spread, but the Patriots had ticked up a little bit too high. There was a couple others, the Bucks and Colts I can't call. I do think, unfortunately, I think the Steelers are going to beat the Bengals or at least cover. But again, I know that that's just my pessimistic Bengal fan in me, so I ignored that one as well. But there's a lot of close spreads this week, so it's going to be a weird one to call.
Yeah, it was interesting. You look at the I was looking at the slate and I was thinking, there must be some good handicaps to get a hold of there. But yeah, really hard. There's some really weird lines. There's a couple of 2s, 2.5s or whatever. And for me, I think for this week, obviously I had all my excitement on Thursday and all my money winning on Thursday. I think with the way the couple of the Sunday games, there's some really good Sunday games. Obviously, you've got Broncos, Chargers, you've got Rams, Packers, Bengals, Steelers. Do you know what? This is I know I've got some selections here. I'll have like a 5 on something, but this is just gonna be a week where I'm just gonna sit back and watch it, enjoy it, because I think there's just some really good games this week. And I know fantasy's coming towards the end of the season. You've got the playoff and that kind of stuff. And do you know what? This week I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy the football for what it is. And sometimes I feel you can get lost a little bit or skewed due to the bets you've put on, or you have the fantasy teams that you got. But this week I'm just gonna enjoy it. But yeah, I was looking for the Houston Texans logo to do the supporting visual. It took me a while to find where it was in the catalog. But
they have not been mentioned this year.
No, they haven't. No, and if you're going to do it, you could say you do it at home against the Jets. But we shall see. I've gone for Philadelphia -3. I think it's mainly 3.5. Yeah, it's 3.5 in most places. I did see a 3 somewhere. I think it was at 5 to 6, so which again I'm not splitting hairs between 10 to 11 and 5 to 6 if you're giving me half a point, which is the field goal hook. So give me that all day long. Giants aren't interested. They've just fired. You might get a post Jason Garrett bounce back, but you got Freddie Kitchens, who was a decent OC to be fair. Not quite the same as the head coach, as Browns fans will know. But yeah, Philadelphia are away. Philadelphia, I think, especially with Dallas's defeat on Thursday, will be more than have big enough carrot to dangle in front of them there to close the gap and make a kind of push for the division. I just think 3 was a bit low, to be quite honest. I expect it to be a 5.5, 6 maybe, and say the Giants are just not good. Obviously, Barkley might be back to what not going to be necessarily full health, but that wide receiving core has been dodgy all season. They were injured all season, and they're just not a good team. And I think they again want to hold the 5th pick in the draft for next season as it currently stands. They always seem to be pick 5 for some reason, or 3 or something, or top 10 anyway. But Philadelphia by far the much better team. Got a bit of momentum. They've got the carrot dangle in front of them to kind of take full advantage of Dallas's loss. And 3, 5 to 6 maybe slightly short odds. Just give me that all day long. Okay, let's move on to totals. And Adam, what you got?
Something I will say on the Eagles is all year they've been getting backed all week. So if you want to get on that, you probably need to get on as soon as possible, really, and leaving it. It's going to get probably a big handicap through the weekend. So if you want to get on that, then probably need to get on sooner. Totals. I've gone for a stinker in the Falcons versus Jags game, under 45.5. The Jags have only scored 23 points once this year, so they're going to probably struggle to put up 14 even against this Falcons defense, which is terrible. It depends a lot on Cordero Patterson being back. He is apparently back in training. To me, it seems like they're rushing him back a little bit too quick, but they are inept without him, frankly. They obviously scored 0 last week, and was it 6 against the Cowboys when Patterson went down? And that was with Patterson playing when they scored those 6. So if they don't have him, then this could be a 10-3 kind of game. It could be awful. Obviously, the Jags defense has stepped up in recent weeks. The win against the Bills was impressive. They only allowed 6 points or whatever. And the Colts, they held the Colts all right after the first quarter. I think that's more a case of the Colts dropping off, but they're not as terrible as they were, is essentially where I'm going. I do think Trevor Lawrence is struggling, though. I know it's obviously an awful situation for him. They lost Jamal Agnew this week, which if you told me at the start of the season that would be newsworthy, I would have told you were lying. But he has been rather effective for them, and he's been a lot of their offense. I mean, they should really now just let the Laviska Shenault do that, because in theory he's the better one to do that anyway. So maybe they'll get him more involved, and it could be a blessing in disguise. James Robinson's going to play, which helps them in the run game. But again, that might just slow them down in scoring. So I just don't think it's going to be a very fun game. So under 45.5. I was surprised to see it wasn't 42, to be honest. So I'll take that one.
Yeah. It's similar to I was saying about the Bears Lions game. It does scream unders and unders. But again, just because both teams are so crap and have nothing to play for, sometimes it just lets them loose a little bit. But yeah, I think that line's maybe a shade too high. I think the New England Tennessee game is a shade too high, and obviously this was before the AJ Brown news. What have I got here? 43.5 I've got. I just think that Tennessee aren't going to score many points. They're going to struggle. New England's defense is pretty decent, especially through the air. And let's face it, Tennessee don't really have much of a run game. They're going to have to go. They got rid of Adrian Peterson. I've got Dontrell Hilliard. He was a former Brown as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And I can't remember who's the other guy in the backfield. Can't remember
now. McNichols, but he was concussed. I don't know whether he's gone through that or not.
No, there was another guy. Anyway, I mean, they're dustmen in the backfield.
Adrian Peterson.
No, not Adrian Peterson. Well, yeah, he might be a dustman now after being moved.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, Hall of Fame dustman. Yeah, I just think it's going to be a typical New England game. You know, keep it tight, run the ball. Mac Jones, let's say Tennessee's defense, very hot and cold. I think with all the adversity that they've experienced and their poor performance last week, I think they obviously might improve, and they need to obviously stay ahead of the Colts, who, whether they say they're now looking over their shoulder. But yeah, I expect it to be a close and tight game. But yeah, New England to come away. I was surprised that the handicap was as big as it was. But obviously, if you are backers of that, hit before the AJ Brown news, you're loving that a little bit more. The other one I did like as well was under 46.5 Washington versus Seattle. Didn't thought it was a bit high.
Seattle's complete ineptness at the moment as well.
Yeah, and Washington are just awful as well. But their defense is crap, and Chase Young's obviously out as well. But yeah, that was the other one I liked on the unders. Okay, touchdown scorers, Adam. What you got?
I had a whole list of them today, but the one for the podcast is Austin Eckler, 10-11 on 365 for the Chargers against the Broncos. Obviously, he scored 4 last week. I'm not expecting that again. 2 in the passing game, 2 on the ground. So I'm happy to get near evens for him as the Chargers look to keep up the pressure on the Chiefs at the top of the division. The Broncos, they're frustrating. They obviously have the potential. They've recently signed all their wide receivers to long contracts. They're obviously going to push over the summer for a stud quarterback, and maybe that will get them there. But I don't think their defense has lived up to the expectations. Maybe it's just because they're having to do too much. But yeah, the Broncos, they're okay against the run. They're okay against the pass. But Austin Eckler is very good and obviously on form at the moment. Justin Herbert obviously showed up last week. They have been up and down this year. So that's my one little worry, is that they have another few dud games. But you would hope after the performance they put up last week that they'll allow Herbert to just do what he wants to do instead of little dump-offs, which is what the issue was for the few weeks where they were really poor. He scored in his only game against the Broncos last year. He scored most years against the Broncos after a quick check on it. So yeah, Austin Eckler, 10-11. As I say, I did have a whole host of them. Joe Mixon has scored 7 games in a row now. Admittedly, he didn't score against the Steelers in the other game this year. He's 20-21, so nearly even money for that one. He's not been talked about much at all this year, mainly because he plays on the Bengals. Gronk is 15-8. He's scored a touchdown with all 4 of his red zone targets this year. Hunter Henry's still over 2-1. Dontrell Hilliard, you mentioned him, 7-2. Kittle is above evens as well, 7-5.
You Michael Pruitt?
I'll get to him. Sexy Rexy Burkhead, 11-4. Again, running back score against the Jets. Admittedly, it's a pretty awful offense, but he's there. And then, one that kind of stood out a little bit to me was Michael Pruitt, who is 28-1 on SpreadX. He's as low as 7-2 in other places, and the next highest was 13-2. He has scored, I think, 2 this year already. So he scored more than 1 in every 28 games. And he was 125 to 1 to score first, or 125 to 1 to score last. So I've had a little nibble at that just because I have a SpreadX account from when they did the Super Contest, which they don't do anymore. So I've only used it twice this year. One was James Washington at 25 to 1, and this one 28 to 1 for Michael Pruitt.
Was that James Washington one from last year? The one I gave you.
Oh, maybe. I've used it once this year for another one that was way off.
I think I recall that. Yeah, I remember messaging you. It was like 10 to 1 or something, wasn't it? It was something stupid.
Yeah, they seem to randomly have these every now and then, and obviously it didn't come in for me last time. But if he scores the only touchdown in a 1 touchdown game, then I'm loaded tomorrow.
Christmas.
But yeah, my official one for the pod is Austin Eckler 10 to 11.
Yeah, lovely stuff. I've had a little nibble on Pruitt as well because for that heads up. Yeah, I managed to find my password for my SpreadX account, and yes, it was the same as all the others.
I very nearly put that in the chat group, and then I was like, hang on a minute, people don't know this.
That's fine. Is what it is. What did I go for? Yeah, I had Mixon on my list. I thought, he was quite cool. I like the Eckler shout. I quite liked the Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts prices. They were all above evens.
Hurts is the one I didn't mention because you distracted me with backup tight ends.
Okay, cool. Sorry.
But yeah, 7-5 for Hurts after a hat trick last week.
Yeah. The one I went for was Mike Evans, 6-5 against the Colts. The Colts aren't very good through the air, so it screams as a Mike Evans game for me. And Tom Brady, it amazes me the amount of I don't know what goes into the game planning or what the conversation he has with Bruce Arians, but it strikes me the amount of touchdown throws that he has or he just seems to do. You think, I don't know. For some reason, I just feel that they should have more rushing touchdowns than they do. I know Fournette has a lot, but I think Tom Brady is, even at whatever age he is, 42 or whatever, or 43. I think he must say something to Bruce Arians or Brian Leftwich and says, "Look, I don't care what calls you play. I'm just going to throw. If I want to throw a touchdown, I'm going to throw a touchdown." It's great to see the determination he still has at that age. Just like I say, he just wants to pull clear of Drew Brees and Peyton Manning and all the rest of it. So, I'm taking Mike. I'm fancying a bit of a Mike Evans week this.
So you think he just audibles every run play into a pass and then goes back to the sideline and goes, "Oh well, they were stuck in the box, so I had to do it."
Yeah, well, I need to go back. I need to go and look at their red zone stats, or within the 10 stats. So I just want to see their pass play, the pass rush percentages or ratio. I haven't had time to look at it yet, but I'll have a look. But yeah, just something that I kind of always seem to observe with Bucks games. But yeah, Mike Evans game for me this week. Let's move over to props.
I'll admit I didn't have a big look on these. I had a quick scan through, and Mike Gesicki was over 3.5 receptions, so I just went for him 4 to 6. Not a huge odds, but it ticks up to 5.5. I think at one time this year. Admittedly, he had a 0 catch game off 7 targets the other week, but he had 5 receptions last week. It seemed to be back to normal kind of situation for them. Panthers D is obviously quite good, but that probably means more short passing. The offensive line obviously is terrible. It's still the worst in the league for the Dolphins. So again, quick little dump offs, little targeting the big man in the slot. It just makes more sense. He's had 4 games this year where he's gone under this. 2 lots of 3 receptions and 2 lots of 0s. But he went over on the targets in every single game, apart from the opener. If that makes any sense. It sounds like me just trying to justify it, but it basically. I saw over 3.5 receptions and went, yeah, I'm picking that one. I'm going for that. I don't have any alternates for this one. That was the one that I quickly looked at after a fairly hectic few minutes.
That's fair enough. What I found, I quite like this one. I've gone back for the New York Giants Philadelphia game. Saquon Barkley over 3.5 receptions. I thought was very low. You look at, he obviously came back last week. He only played 62% of the snaps. He played 36 snaps, but he still had 6 receptions. Obviously, if you can do your maths, that's one reception every 6 snaps. Obviously, he'll do well. You'd hope, or you'd envisage that he'll play more than 62% of the snaps this week, maybe up to 75-80%. They'll be behind a lot, and like I say, if he's getting back to air quotes full health, like I say, he's going to get pummeled in the passing game. Doesn't matter how far these passes are going for. You just need the receptions. I just thought 3.5 was quite low, because if you think of the first 4 games that he played this season, what we have here, he had 1 reception in the first game, 2 receptions in the second game, but then he had 6 and then 5. So he's done 3 out of 5 full games this season, including that was the last 3. And I was just surprised to see that he had 6 last week, considering he was supposed to be eased back in. I know he didn't do much on the ground. On the ground, we had 6 rushes for 25 yards, but like I say, game script, if Philadelphia get ahead and whatnot, I think there's quite a few ways the way that this comes in. I don't really see many scenarios where it doesn't, to be quite honest. So I thought it was a bit low. I was expecting maybe 4.5, 5.5, perhaps. And you say, especially with the wide receiver, I mentioned it before, wide receivers and going down injured and not being all there. I know Tony and some of the guys came back last week. Slayton,
Tony's out again, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Well, exactly. Yeah, and yeah, it's like I say, I don't know what the play calling will be like. Obviously, with Freddie Kitchens.
No, I was just trying to think that. I can't remember what he did with the Browns. I think he just enforced the run. I think it was more just get Chubb the ball on the ground, but that will open it up for Barkley, because I mean, I don't know what to think of Barkley anymore, to be honest. Obviously, he's been injury prone through the years, and he's always been fairly boom or bust, that he'll have 20 carries for 2 and then break off an 80-yarder. So it's one of those that I'm kind of falling out of love with him a little bit, but there's every possibility that he does a lot more in the kind of Christian McCaffrey kind of game, and lots of short dump offs, and he's got the ability to do that. So yeah, fingers crossed Kitchens will see that. I think, to be honest, I think it'll be enforcing the run and just lobbing it high to Golladay for contested passes, because they paid him a fortune and they've not got him involved at all this year. So it seems to me that they would try and really push Golladay. So maybe have a look for Golladay receptions or yards as well. But yeah, I can't argue with the Saquon over 3.5. That seems a very low line.
Yeah, I mean, I just looked at his previous games against Philadelphia, especially 2020 he didn't play, obviously injured reserve. 2019 he had 3 and 3, and then 2018 rookie year he had 9 and 7. But so, yeah,
evens out to over 4.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was hoping the 2019 had a high one, but yeah, like I said, I thought it was a bit low. Maybe should have gone up 1 or 2 more from that. But there you go. Right, let's go recap then what we've gone for. Handicap is -3 for me, Philadelphia against the New York Giants. You've gone +3, Adam, Houston versus the Jets. Totals under 43.5, Patriots, Titans for me. And then Adam is Falcons. Jacob is under 45.5. Touchdown scorers, Mike Evans for me, Austin Eckler for Adam. That's quite a good price for Eckler. I thought he'd be a bit shorter than that. He's kind of strikes me as a 4-6er, but there we go. And then just remind you, props, Saquon Barkley over 3.5 receptions. Mike Gesicki over 3.5. We've both gone over 3.5 receptions this week, Adam. So
and we got a Dolphins mention in, which I didn't even realize.
Yeah,
there you go, Jack.
Yeah, we don't do it on purpose.
I know. I genuinely didn't realize. I was just thinking, we didn't even mention the Dolphins, but no, I did.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, always. Well, like I say, as soon as you see Mike Gesicki in 3.5, it's just automatic. It doesn't really matter what the price is.
Yeah, I couldn't help it this week.
Yeah, there we go. Right, let's say hopefully we continue the good form from Thursday. I say good luck to anyone. Good luck to all your bets. We're back next Friday or Saturday, depends. Obviously, the reason we're on Saturday is because the bookies seem to have a bit of a Thanksgiving hangover and didn't put anything up yesterday. Yeah. So there we go. So depending on the markets, we'll be back next Friday or Saturday, but we'll let you know at 14 yards on Twitter at Touchdown Tips, as always, for Adam's insight and lovely analysis. Touchdown Tips or TDTips.com for all of his good stuff as well. He'll be joining me next week. Hopefully you can too. Let's go and win some keys.
Today, smash the Steelers.